After his stressful day with Emma, Aiden returns home to find his house invaded by the police. The situation of the missing neighbor's child has put him under suspicion. The detective he finds in his kitchen is not only a creepy invader, he's also an art critic. Chapter 11. A Visitation. On his return to Spyglass House, Aiden was confused to see all its lights on. Police officers swarmed inside his doorway, and hardly a nod of acknowledgement was made when he stepped into the kitchen. A sneer of a shadow turned up in the corner opposite him. The man attached to it was slower slithering into view. He circled the far end of the breakfast table, as on a stage, with arms behind him and head effectively tilted down. His dark expression softened after the first impression found its mark. His greeting, melodious and with a quaint English accent, cleared the bustle. "Good evening, sir." The grim police detective parked in a chair under the ceiling light fixture. A shock of black hair hung penduliously over his prominent forehead. Its effect was one of a swaying curtain that occasionally intrudes on other players, namely an aquiline nose, bristly eyebrows, and piercing gray eyes. The remainder of the face was glabrous.
"Mr. Gage, I presume,"
was next uttered. The painter was too flabbergasted to respond.
"Sorry for the intrusion, but I assure you, we do have a search warrant. My name, good sir, is Detective Herod Pincher."
He rose from his chair as to bow, and exhibited a flowing black cape over rather antique formal wear. He scrambled to apologize for it.
"Please excuse my costume. My good wife and I were on our way to a Halloween party when I was called in on duty. Do sit down. I do not want you to be unduly alarmed, but evidence came to light that required us returning to conduct a thorough investigation."
Aiden slid awkwardly into a chair. "I don't understand." The detective pulled a small, transparent bag from under his red-lined cape and placed it on the table. It contained a utility knife. He was glum.
"We found this lying conspicuously along the bramble of your house. Is it yours?"
It looks like the one I own, but Pincher interrupted.
"When my man, Officer Tani, was in your attic earlier today, he spotted a toolbox containing tools matching this maker. We returned to investigate and found blades for this particular model of knife in your box, but no knife, unless, of course, you keep your knife in another part of the house."
Aiden remembered using his knife on Bray's Halloween costume, but did not recall where he laid it afterwards. "I cannot say," he replied.
"Well,"
the man explained,
"our thinking is someone used it to cut the screen off the missing child's bedroom window before tossing it along the walkway."
A flap of his cloak, like bat wings, preceded the man's resuming his seat at the table.
"The same officer who searched your attic found blood on your stairs."
Aiden blurted, "I cut my foot last night." Pincher leaned forward.
"You told my officer you heard a loud noise while you slept last night, correct?"
"Yes, I think it was the painting falling in the hallway."
"You left your bedroom to investigate?"
"I may have been sleepwalking and stepped in broken glass," the resident hastened to add.
"Is the glass in the trash bin by the kitchen door from your hallway?"
"Yes." The detective creaked solemnly in his chair, like a mast under a changing headwind.
"Your back door was open when my officers came onto your property at noon. They said they found you fast asleep upstairs. Is it your habit to sleep in?"
"I have insomnia. sometimes. The detective highlighted the equivocation.
Did you, in fact, have insomnia last night?
No. The hedge made his reply awkward. I just got to bed late.
You have more than your fair share of sleep maladies, Mr. Gage,
confessed Pincher.
By your omission of somnambulism, is it possible that you may have knocked the painting off the wall?
The draft on the stairs probably blew it off.
How do you conclude this?
Well, Aiden fumbled. I incorporated the event of the falling painting into a dream about a shattering water glass. The listener met this statement skeptically.
A dream? My understanding of sleepwalking, and correct me if I am mistaken, is that because this altered state occurs during the deepest part of sleep, the afflicted has no conscious memory of events that transpire during it.
This was an involved dream. Involved dreams typically happen late in sleep, while episodes of sleepwalking happen early. My mind may have reordered events after the fact. The detective sighed loudly, sensing something was omitted in this technical account of definitions, and rightly so, since Aiden dreamt no less than twice that evening, if the shattering painting constituted a proper break between dreams. He would not, of course, volunteer more information than was solicited. Pincher pulled at the corner of his cape before launching into another line of questioning.
I see you are a painter, Mr. Gage, and no dabbler, by my limited knowledge in the matter.
My paintings are not to everyone's taste.
Oh, I can imagine.
The man let slip a muffled, curlish laugh. In the next moment, he sprouted eyes on the back of his head and referred to the refrigerator immediately behind him.
Did the caretaker's child draw that picture? I see her name written on it.
Aiden nodded cautiously.
I gather the child kept you company yesterday, given she would have no other opportunity to do so since your arrival in town.
The resident was quick. She appears to have the run of the place.
The thing in the drawing,
inserted the interrogator curiously.
What did the child claim it to be?
An angel, she said. The detective hummed privately to himself, meditating on the matter before glaring at one of his officers. The man placed another plastic bag on the table. On first pass, it appeared to contain nothing, but a single wound strand of hair was discerned with effort. The investigator's expression remained unreadable.
This was found on your bedspread. Forensics tells us it's a match to the missing girl.
Aiden gasped. Her father has a set of keys. Bray probably plays here while he's working. Pincher pressed ahead.
Remnants of a bedsheet are in the trash can where the broken glass was discarded. May I ask where the remainder of that sheet is?
I made a Halloween costume.
For the child?
It was trimmed to fit her.
The tears are ragged,
he observed.
Did you use scissors?
No.
A knife?
Yes. Aiden left it at that.
We have taken the liberty of removing the shreds from the trash receptacle. I hope you do not mind.
Of course not.
You must understand my concern here, Mr. Gage. I'm sure you want to cooperate in every way to help us in our investigation.
That goes without saying.
Also,
the detective continued,
we found a trace of blood on one scrap. In view of your story about cutting your foot, the broken glass in the same trash bin may have conceivably contaminated the fabric. In this likelihood, would you do us the courtesy of giving us a sample of your blood, in keeping with the spirit of cooperation?
Aiden sank, thinking the vampire was about to leap across the table and bite his neck.
And a set of your fingerprints, too,
added the cordial count. The painter blurted his fear. Am I a suspect? The man explained calmly.
The point of gaining a set of fingerprints is not to connect you to a knife that may very well belong to you, but to rule you out if we find prints on it in addition to, or instead of, yours.
The stated reason for the prints was not convincing. Pincher expanded on his reassurance.
The same goes for the blood sample. If it is a match to what we find on the sheet, this too bolsters your account of things. I am as anxious as you are, Mr. Gage, to eliminate you as a candidate in this unfortunate business.
Then I am a suspect. The detective seized on his resignation as approval for the request. He glanced again at the subordinate, who moved in with an ink pad and heavy paper to take Aiden's fingerprints. The obliging suspect thought it unorthodox for official police business to be conducted at a private residence, but he was too discombobulated to question it. Momentarily, another officer came down the stairs carrying a third bag. The detective, seeking to divert the painter's attention, rose abruptly, swept around the table, and lifted his cape in the manner of Bela Lugosi. His question lunged at the man.
Are you also a writer, sir?
Aiden squirmed on feeling the attending officer smash his finger into the ink pad. He assumed Pincher referred to his journal on the table, which he brought in from Emma's car. Well, he hemmed, it started as fiction.
Fiction?
Now it's a memoir.
It usually works the other way around,
mused the critic.
When an artist turns to writing his autobiography, it is generally to canonize himself.
The lecturer was tuning up to say more, but seeing the reaction he elicited, allowed his last word to hang on the draft like an unfastened door. Aiden was taken aback when he plopped the thumb down on the tabletop with a scowl. Something was smashed, likely a flea. The glee in the exterminator's eye was more in the way of Rinsfield than Dracula. No explanation for the rash act was supplied once the thumb was withdrawn. When the morose man spoke next, it was to return to a formulation.
First impressions being what they are, Mr. Gage,
he said.
You strike me as something of an imposter.
What?
I do not say this to be accusatory, but to highlight the difficulty you present me as a case study.
He looked around at the sparsely furnished room.
I cannot connect you to the decor. Honestly, I cannot see you being easily domesticated in any setting.
I inherited this place, Aiden volunteered. The furniture came with the house.
Ah!
Pincher exclaimed. The painter winced when his finger was pricked for blood. The officer taking the sample directly cleared away his materials, even while the count continued to loom.
One more thing,
he announced. In something of a magic trick, a video cassette was produced from beneath the flowing cloak and placed on the table.
Is this tape connected to the video equipment in your upstairs closet?
Not knowing the contents of the video cassette, Aiden turned pale. He explained, I filmed myself sleeping last night to see if I was sleepwalking.
Have you made that determination?
I haven't had a chance to watch it. Pincher reacquisitioned the evidence with another flourish of his cape, postulating,
This may settle the question of time, as well as provide you with an alibi. You have no objections to us borrowing this.
Aiden's nod went wobbly. The detective's friendlier tone took a sudden note of severity.
We are not taking you into custody at this time, Mr. Gage. Our concern here, given what you have told us about your sleepwalking, is you cannot account for your movements last night. I am giving you the benefit of a doubt until a preponderance of evidence leads me to think otherwise.
He circled the table with stiff formality, adding,
I do have one last request to make of you, that you do not leave town without telling us.
The resident did not endorse the recommendation.
I bid you good evening, sir. Good evening.
Pincher gesticulated testily at those around him and stepped briskly into the next room. The officers in the kitchen followed his fluttering cape. When the tenant turned to view the orderly stampede, the theatrical man was nowhere to be seen. Within seconds, all the company and their equipment were packed up and gone. Aiden rose to close the front door, half expecting to see a straggler making for it in a dash, but the house was empty. He ran upstairs to find his bedroom intact. If investigators went through his drawers and wastebaskets, they punctiliously replaced the contents as they found them. The resident gravitated to his studio to sulk. This part of the house, like the bedroom, initially showed no evidence of disruption. Yet, on peering at the shelf where the mysterious suitcase had lain, the seeker was dumbfounded to see it removed. All the stray schematics on the floor were likewise missing. It seemed improbable the police would seize the suitcase and its contents as evidence of anything, and doubly improbable they would simply take them after the detective made a point of asking to borrow the videotape. This invasion upset him, naturally, and Pincher's unsolicited critique of his art was especially galling. It was in these rare moments when someone bothered to have an opinion of his work that Aiden rose to its defense. His latest painted monster was based on a fragmented female torso, and its presentation might conceivably alarm anyone suspicious of the painter's character. As depicted, the right arm of the torso bowed outward along the ribcage to reveal a large disembodied eye in the gap. Torn skin at the crease of the buttocks opened to expose a snarling mouth, which extended through the trough of the back. There, black purplish lips nestled the flayed human body that gave the creature its form. Muscles and tendons glistened in glazes of perylene red and manganese blue, and taken together they made the trunk resemble a bloated tongue cradled between large, wet teeth. The painting was unusually illustrative for the usually abstruse artist, and tied into a recurrent oral fixation in his dreams. As with glue in his mouth or crumbling teeth in his gums, the portrayal was a desire he could neither ingest nor articulate. Typically, these representations of the female body were more totemistic assemblages than whole individuals, which led women in art school to initially label him a misogynist. This painting would also be open to that unimaginative charge, but Aiden's aims truly originated from a different impulse. Perception was a barrier in his tumultuous work, though it was the female body, particularly, that stood between him and what lay beyond perception. As symbol or object, it kept him shackled to the representational world of things, to the very realm that gave expression to all his anxieties and phobias. He could just endure to paint it flying apart at the seams. After 40 minutes of pacing and venting, the orator turned to his studio door to leave. In haste, he almost missed the piece of paper stuck behind a utility cabinet. It was a stray schematic from the suitcase, and was proof he did not invent seeing them the night before. He unsnagged the drawing and examined it carefully. To his surprise, it was a diagram of a box similar to the one in the hall painting. He had no idea if the blueprint was the inspiration for the artwork, or whether the box had been built, but the schematic provided no clear purpose for the contraption. Cryptic instructions hinted at some practical use. To restart, reset breaker. The coincidence of the black box showing up on a random drawing highlighted the painting's continuing enigma, as well as the enigma of its creator. Creaking rose on the steps outside the studio, sending Aiden to the door. It was likely old timbers of the house. Jumpy, he settled on a campus visit and a plan to research his haunted house's architect. The kitchen was passed through quickly. He faltered at the refrigerator door. Was it a joke? The words "I love you" were written in pencil in the lower left-hand corner of Bray's drawing. Had he simply failed to notice the faint inscription? Had the inquisitive detective failed to mention it? Both possibilities seemed unlikely. The uneven letters were exaggerated on the upstroke where the writer strained on tiptoe to maintain contact with the paper. Equally unnerving, the fine lines were made with a hard-tipped pencil, not unlike the HB pencil used in his journal sitting on the kitchen table. Was it possible someone else was in the house? Was it possible someone could hide well enough in a secret place to evade detection, even from the police? The anxious man spoke his hope aloud. "Bray, are you here?" The dark house did not answer. Aiden grabbed his jacket and set off for campus.